Hello, I'm Michael Wybrow, and in this final Firebase video we're going to talk about cloud storage. So, cloud storage is cloud-based file storage. It provides an easy, centralized location for downloading and uploading files. It handles the communication with the server in the background, so you're not calling URL session upload or download tasks. It does that for you. And it's integrated with Firebase's authentication per user access rules, so you could really make sure that people only have access to their own information if you wanted to. Alright, so how do we use this? Again, we need to make sure the relevant packages in the Swift Package Manager are selected. We suggest you do Firebase Storage, but also Firebase Storage Swift Beta, because there's some Swift things like the async await versions of these methods that are in this second package. So when you're using these, you would then import Firebase Storage and Firebase Storage Swift. So how do we get started using cloud storage? First off, we need a reference, like many things in Firebase. We do that by calling the class storage, a class variable called storage, and we get a reference. From this reference, we can get a child of this, like a file name here. So a reference can be either a directory or a file itself. If we wanted to upload a file, what does it look like? Well, let's assume that we have some data, which is the data from a file, and we want to tell it that this is an image, a JPEG file. We can specify some metadata, and then the method that's doing the work is this image ref put data async. So the image ref is telling it where to put it in the server's storage. Data is the file we're actually uploading as just a data object, like we've been working with in our web services week last week. And metadata is obviously this object we just specified here. This code, async code, it can either throw an error if it can't upload the data, or if it successfully uploaded it, you'll get to the following line here. And on the following line, you can ask for the path where it was uploaded from the metadata, and in this case we're just saying yes, it uploaded, otherwise there will be an error. If we wanted to download a file, and there's a couple of versions of downloading a file, we can either download a file to memory. In this case you have to specify the maximum size that it can be. So in this case we're saying 5 megabytes, which is 1024 by 1024 bytes times 5. And again, it's async code, so we're wrapping this in a task object and also a do catch block. And the method that we're calling is image ref, which is specifying where on the server this thing is, which is from our first slide. We're asking for the data from there, and we're telling it the max size. And what we get back, if it works, is the data. If it doesn't, and that thing doesn't exist, can't be accessed, then you get back an error that your catch block can handle. And once you've got to this, assuming that you've awaited the result and you've got it back inside our task, we can get the image here. And then if you want to do something with the image, obviously we have to update the UI in some way with the image. If you want to instead download this to a local file, how does this differ? Well, you need to tell it where the local file would live. In this case, we're just saying it's file.jpg in our documents directory. Every app has a documents directory. And then what we do is we just get a reference to the remote URL, and we tell it to write async and write it to our local file URL, which is the one here. And it'll also just tell us that URL if it wrote to, if it worked. Otherwise it will throw an error. And then once you've got that, let's say it was an image and it's written to disk, so you can cache it there, then you can get the contents of it and then turn it into a UI image or whatever you want it to. So you might say, well, why would you use this second one over the first one? Well, because if you've got, say, a profile pic in your app, you don't want to download it every time it's displayed. So you can first check if it's already been downloaded. If it has, use it. If it hasn't, you can execute this and download it and then have it be written to the disk. Okay, so with these file URLs, it is possible to list the files in a cloud storage bucket, but it's easier for you just to keep track of them. So when you upload a file, let's say a profile pic, because I just used that example for a user, then inside your Firestore database, you can just store a URL as a string for where that image has been stored, and then you can easily access it from using that string. And we will see some examples of this later. Okay, thanks for watching.